Welcome back, guys, to another riding video. This one probably won't be as interesting as the past one, but you never know. It could always be interesting. It is Thursday, March, what is it, 14th? Yeah, 3.14, Pi Day. Got out of work, rode the bike to work, which is always nice to be able to do, but had a long work week, so I'm gonna take tomorrow off. Tomorrow being Friday. But since it was such a beautiful day today, it's supposed to get into the 50s. I don't know if it actually got into the 50s. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. It's so nice out. So it was a good opportunity to ride the bike. I hadn't ridden it since last Saturday. So gave me an opportunity to ride. But yeah, I didn't really have much planned to talk about, so I'll try to think of something interesting to talk about. What that'll be, I don't know. I need to talk a little about a rider skill improvement. I'm trying to get better at not completely clutching out when I come up to corners and going through corners. I don't do it all the time, but there are times where I will completely pull in my clutch as I go around corners, and it leaves me vulnerable. In my last video where I did have that little tail kick out moment, you can hear me rev the engine before dumping my clutch, so I can get traction and get my rear tires moving again. That can be problematic. So a little mix of starting to get better at engine braking and not completely dumping clutches when I or not completely pulling clutch in when I go through corners. I'm taking a different route home just because you've seen the one that I normally take, so I might as well mix it up a little. The terrible intersection. This is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways in. With 2 off ramps, a main street that goes across, and then this street that joins in. See a different part of the town I live in. Well, not live in, actually, the town I work in. Ew, harsh. Nice. We'll actually go by the military base. nice looking cars. So a little post analysis. I don't think I wrote it in the description. So the cause of my tail kicking out was I was doing 18 miles an hour. I look back, 18 miles an hour into the corner. I thought I was going slow enough. Evidently not slow enough. But in addition, there is the crosswalk hatches, and those were wet. And what that meant is they're very slippery. And if I watched it back frame by frame, my front tires were fine. I was actually off of the hatches. My rear tire is what got the slide. And it was purely those crosswalk hatches, like the ones coming up here. And it's something I do try to avoid when I'm driving. I try to avoid those because they are very slippery when wet. I mean, if you've been in a car and it's been wet, and you've had your front tires, if you're a front-wheel drive vehicle, had your front tires on those hatches, and tried to get off a line, you've probably felt your tires spin. And I know I have in my car, and my car ain't that torquey. So I know it can happen even in a regular car, so it's just even more evident on a motorcycle. The Show Me State. What state is that? Is that Mississippi? I think it is. Oh, what is it? I think it is. I just don't know what my states look like. I need to turn on to get home. If I do it right, it's a really pretty street. If I do it wrong, I'm looking around a neighborhood for a while. But we shall see. This is the big military base. Hey, I got away from him! He was a little reluctant, but he did give it to me. I chalk that up as a victory. The Harley guys don't like to wave to the crotch rocket guys. Typically. Sometimes you can get them too. And it's always nice when you do. But yeah, big Navy base. I say big, it's not that big compared to ones that I've been to. That was a tie rod. No, not a tie rod. CV joint, front CV axle. That car didn't have a good day. You got your CV axle hanging out like that, it's never a good sign. The snow's pretty much gone. I mean, you can see it where plows have plowed it from parking lots and most kind of street corners. You can see it, but other than that, it's gone. It's been in the 40s the past couple days, and 30s, upper 30s, mid to upper 40s kind of temps. So most of it's cleared its way out, which is nice. You know, if you don't like snow. But It was pretty when it was here. I still got a fair bit at my house. I live a little further inland and a little higher than the coastal areas, and I got some good coverage even in the winter from trees and whatnot that keep the house clear, or yard covered, I should say. But I do actually have a fun story I can tell. My house was built in the 50s, and living in the Northeast, the common mode to heat your house is oil. So I have an oil furnace, if you will, oil boiler that heats water, pumps it through baseboard heating, and it also uses the boiler for my hot water, to generate my hot water for me. So I had a service technician come out to do a yearly service on it, and it was yesterday, and then the gentleman said he would I'd scheduled the appointment for 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock comes and rolls around, and I get a phone call from the guy. Hey, I'm running a bit late. I'll be there 3:15. All right, he's running late. No big deal. I'm enjoying myself playing what is it? Division 2. 3:15 rolls around, nothing. 3:45, nothing. 4 o'clock, nothing. 4:15, get a phone call back from him. Hey, I just finished the service. Now, immediately that triggers something in my mind, because I have a Ring doorbell that's a video doorbell. I should have seen him come, and he couldn't have gotten into my house unless he broke in. Slightly concerned. Start walking towards my towards my house to head down. No, actually I do. Head down to the basement to see if the guy's there. And as he's talking on the phone, he's like, if you're going to have this construction going on, I'd recommend closing off this area so that the dust doesn't get into the furnace or into the boiler. At which point, I say, I think you're at the wrong house. My neighbor got a free tune-up, and apparently he needed it. But it was like, ooh. My neighbor's got construction going on. So a lot of contractors in and out of the house. It's a larger multi-family house. And so no one at the house really made the connection or knew any other ways, because it's a larger multi-family house, that there was not a servicing scheduled. So he serviced their house, at which point when I said, I think you're at the wrong house, he turned around, looked at the number of the house, looked at the number on the contract, and realized his mistake. It's like, oof, rough. So it's like, nice. And then he had to come over and do mine. So it's not like he just spent an hour, around 15 minutes doing someone else's. He then has to come over and finish mine, or do mine. Of course, he starts working on mine. Takes apart what he needs to replaces some filters and whatnot. And there's a nozzle that sprays the oil. He goes to pull that out. At which point he realizes, or doesn't realize, but he looks at it and says, okay, let me go check if I have this part. Most boilers, the nozzles are relatively standard. And what I learned from the gentleman was they're kind of a rated system. In that, so like most boilers of my brand are, he said, an 80-60B. The 80, in that case, stands for 0.8 gallons of fuel per hour. The 60 is the spread on the nozzle, and the B stands for the style of nozzle. Doesn't actually mean it looks like a B, it's just the style. Well, I have a 50-60B. I have a very efficient unit, and relatively small. So he goes and looks and doesn't have it, and he said someone will come back out and they'll arrange for me to have someone else come back out to finish it, or he'll come back out to finish it, one of the two. But it's like, man, that guy's day could have gone better with doing the wrong house and then not having the part for mine. And it was funny. I found it funny. He probably found found it a little comical. But yeah, definitely an interesting day. And I've also realized I've missed the turn I wanted to take. I think there's that big road up here. I'll make a, I think, let's see where this goes. I told someone I'd be online in a half hour. I think that's not going to happen just because I missed my turn. But, oh well, I'm enjoying my trip. I want to take the... oh no, I haven't missed it. Alright, good. I still got a ways to go. I got 1, 2, 3 streets to cross still. 4 streets. It's the 4th one that I want to turn on. Alright. Less concerned. But also, I was distracted. Could have ended badly. You see, these are slightly wet roads in some areas. As you can see, there's still some snow in these shady areas. And then the standing water there. But I want to get down this road, past the lake up here, and then we'll call it at that point. Glacier Park. I might have to go there at some point. Considering it's called Glacier Park, I suspect a glacier was there at some point. Yep, this is where I want to turn. This looks right. Shifted down a little too quickly. Notice I took that really slow. It was wet. I didn't want to slip again. This is a nice little road. I took it... First time I took this road would have been just under a year ago. The reason I know is I'm coming up a year on ownership of my house. I bought my house on March 23rd, it now being March 14th. It's just over a week away. And this road is the road I took to get from my house that I was in the process of buying to the lawyer's office to do the closing, which we did pass his office on the way here too, so full circle. But pretty little lake. This is actually really close to my house. Like my house is in the hills just kind of over there. There's 2 streets and some forests, and then you're at this, no, there's 1 street behind my house, some forest, and then you're at this lake. My understanding from it, though, it is not a lake that you're allowed to swim in. It is the water supply for the town that we started out this ride in. But I think you're allowed to like, not motorboat, but like paddle boat kind of stuff, like canoe and whatnot, I think. You can still see there's some ice on the lake in shadowy spots, so you can tell it's still pretty cold in areas. But yeah, this is a reservoir, if you will, or a small lake for the local town. But it's pretty. I mean, it's a pretty road, especially driving through, and you got the lake spanning both sides. It's nice. And on a beautiful day like today, you can't go wrong. But they say you're not supposed to swim in here. I have a feeling during the summer there are teens swimming in here, because why wouldn't there be? It's not like there's a razor fence or anything around it. You've got streets that go off like that, and you can hike through the woods and get to it. So, but it's pretty. But I think, let me see, there's a stop up here. That's where we'll call this episode, and I'll upload it probably in one piece and not bother doing any editing because I'm lazy, and this weekend I plan on playing games a lot. Especially since I'm taking off tomorrow, I'm probably going to play a bunch of Division 2. I've got a friend that I'm going to play with. So if, well, let's see, this will go up Saturday. By the time this goes up, my stream will probably be over. But there is a link to my Twitter. I don't really post all that often, if at all. Used to just be the YouTube automated posting. YouTube doesn't do that anymore, so there's really no posts. Occasionally I'll post that video if I care to. But there's also a link to my Twitch. So feel free to hop over there and give it a subscribe and watch my Twitch streams whenever I do them. I probably will be streaming tomorrow and this weekend as I play some video games. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like. Bye.